Hello again, everybody, and if you noticed, I am in the same outfit as my previous post study abroad overview type thing. Same day. I thought I should just kick some stuff off right away because I have some ideas, so I'm just gonna get into them. The topics today will be hostels and, places to stay when you're traveling around. Weather, Prague, and how foreigner-friendly other countries are in Europe. Foreign language is a big topic I want to talk about. Fitting in to Europe and European style and all of that. European life, as it were. Shopping around Prague, and then currency conversions and money, across Europe and from your home nation. Those are the big topics that I have for you today. So I'm going to start off with hostels and briefly about Airbnb. When me and my roommates were traveling across Europe, we stayed in a lot of hostels, and all of them were very good. Some of them are definitely better than others, even if maybe a hostel is more of a chain. We stayed at Wombat's hostel twice, and that personally was not anyone's favorite hostels. These other hostels that we've stayed in have been better for us. Kind of where to find a good one? I think my roommates, I never booked the hostels just because I'm not very responsible with that sort of thing. But my roommates used hostelworld.com, I believe, to find all of the hostels we stayed in, which we stayed in a lot, and they were all very good. I think some people have had bad moments and times with hostels, and I personally never had a bad time with a hostel. And we did stay in one Airbnb for our spring break in Croatia. The hostels we did stay in, 2 of them were Wombats. I forget. I think it was in Vienna and in Budapest. We stayed in Wombats. Salzburg we stayed in Juhu, I think it was called. Real cute. Zagreb, we stayed in Mali Marek, which was amazing. It was very homey, very cool vibe, very off the beaten path, and it's so cool. So cool. I highly suggest it if you're looking for more of a homey kind of vibe, like you're part of a family or they're your friends. It's very cool. It's so cool. Highly suggest it. Everyone that stays there too is very, very awesome. We stayed that in Zagreb. In forgetting where we were. Krakow we stayed in a hotel because that was from CEA. Berlin we stayed at. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. But I know the owner was South Asian and the wifey, I believe, is German. They had a really cute daughter. So freaking cute. That place was nice, but the only bad part was it was next to some sort of restaurant-y, clubby thing, so it was kind of loud at night. But the owners are super, super nice, super friendly. It was a good place to stay, I think. Is that it? And then our Airbnb, we stayed in Stobrec, Croatia. Buddy. We stayed in this Airbnb. It was a room. It was this family has this big kind of complex of a house, and they have the family up top. The daughter owns one apartment-esque kind of room, and then they rented one out for Airbnb. It was so freaking nice. It was up a hill. That killed us because we're it's hot, and we were near Split, and it was hot in Croatia. I'm just it's too hot. I'm not used to it. It's sunny, but the family was so amazing. I highly recommend. The girl that was in charge of renting that out is Marina. She was wonderful. She was so nice. Her whole family was so freaking nice. Their dad gives us so much love. We're Papa. He's our Croatian dad. He was so precious, and they had a dog named Buddy. I'm Buddy. We had so many good moments in Croatia just because of our Croatian family. We're our honorary Croatian family, right? That was super nice. So nice. Oh, God, so nice. He was such a sweet old man. He was very hairy, very dark eyebrows, very Mediterranean. I'm just like, I feel like I'm at home, because, you know, I'm kind of Mediterranean, Lebanese style. He was so precious. And his dog, the dad didn't know a lot of English, which was totally okay. But there was a brother and 2 sisters. Marina was the main one who was in charge of that, and then can't remember sister name, and then I don't remember brother name either, but we're like, we're like brother, sister, Marina. That's how we referred to people, Papa. And I don't think we ever met them. Well, no, we did meet the mom once or twice, because we were like trying to like chill and tan. She like brought out like a tanning mat. We're like, all right, thank you, mom. Like, and they were a really amazing family. They were just so freaking nice. And then of course Buddy is their dog. So cute. He's a white dog. He doesn't really like other people, but he warms up to you. Trust me. I'm just like, Buddy. So precious. I'm crying. So it was really funny. Every time we're like, Papa. And the whole place was great. That Airbnb was a wonderful one. And all the hostels we stayed in were wonderful. Affordable, very affordable, in case you're concerned. You don't need a hotel as long as you find the right hostel. Really pay attention to reviews, or an Airbnb, pay attention to reviews. There was a group of dudes that were in front of me once. They did not have a good experience with Airbnb, and they're like, we're never going to do that again. And I'm like, I think either that was before I tried it, so I'm like, I'm going to try it and find out, or that was after, and I'm just like, my Airbnb was prime. Like, best Airbnb ever. It's just so sweet. But yeah, just really read reviews, ask around. If you're planning on going somewhere, ask maybe some of the people that are in your program that are maybe local students, because I'm sure they've traveled, ask them where they've stayed and all that stuff. Just really get on that information grind. Or ask around on the internet, maybe even on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, I don't know. But yeah, overall, super awesome experiences in hostels and Airbnb. So do not worry about that at all. Now I'm going to kind of talk about like foreigner friendly like level. They're all relatively foreigner friendly because duh, tourists, and they love us. Everyone loves tourist money, what can I say? But some are more than others. Prague, I love Prague, but so many people, they know a little bit of English, but they either aren't confident in it or they just don't want to speak it to you, so then they won't. And that's kind of rough, because you're like, really? I'm like, there's English on your menu. I'm sure you know a smidge bit of English. Otherwise, like, it's terrible. Except at this one pubby place. It's called the Thirsty Deer. A little bit on the pricey side. Czech Dad is there, and also Czech Uncle is there. So we refer to them. They don't really know English, but they were super friendly and super, super nice. Czech Uncle knew more English than Czech Dad, but Czech Dad was wonderful. He was so sweet. He was amazing. We missed him so much. So Prague overall is pretty foreign friendly, but at the same time, there's instances where you're like, really? Also, if you look different, if you don't look European, it gets a little awkward. People will definitely look at you funny. But don't worry, if you are like me, you're kind of used to it by now. When people give you like confused looks, like, what are you? What are you doing here? You're like, it's okay, guys. It's okay. I'm not here to steal from you. I'm just here to study. Like, I'm used to like weird and dirty looks, so. But if you're not, just be aware that if you are, not European looking, people will probably give you like a little like confused look, especially in the not so touristy parts of Prague, because they're just not used to it. The whole communism thing screwed them up in all sorts of ways. The whole being taken over multiple times by different regimes screwed the Czech Republic up a little bit. But other places in Europe are pretty friendly. Budapest, super nice. Vienna, surprisingly super nice, even though the girl that was in Vienna that I knew from my home institution, she was there for a couple weeks, she didn't like it at all. She's like, people are mean, and I'm like, every single person here has been really nice to us, so, when we were in Budapest, we were confused as to where our hostel was, and an old lady helped us just out of the blue, she's like, do you guys need help? We're like, yes, mom. Budapest mom. And then we also had Vienna grandpa. Or was it Salzburg grandpa? He was an Austrian grandpa for us. He knew English because he worked on the railways at one point. So he like, we were so confused, and he's like, oh yeah, I can help you. We weren't really looking to old people for help, but he like was like all up for it, and he like talked to us while we were walking the same way as him. He was super sweet. God bless Austria grandpa. Berlin, also very friendly people. A lot of fun in Berlin. Crazy in Berlin. Krakow, also friendly people. Everyone was very friendly. The only ones that were more closed off to foreigners is definitely the Czech Republic, just because it's been taken over so many times and pressed so many times and told to do so many times that they're kind of more closed off, a little more, I don't know how to word this. They're just not as open to foreigners so much, but don't let that scare you. After a while, if you know some Czech, you're totally good. They'll be like, okay, whatever. And if you just try to communicate with people, you'll be good. Overall, all the places I've gone, including my home of Prague, they're pretty friendly. They're pretty foreigner friendly. Not everywhere, though, has English, so you kind of have to know certain things, especially going out to eat. I went to a few, like, Vietnamese places that didn't really have English. I'm just like, I'm gonna guess, or at least the people working didn't know English like whatsoever, so I'm just like, this one, mama, thank you. It's good that I know how to pronounce pho, let me tell you. Overall, foreign friendly, for the most part. Everyone's very friendly. Next thing is the foreign language. I, of course, being the adventurous one, did not go to an English or Spanish speaking nation. So I'm just like, I don't know anything here. And so it was very hard to get used to. And it's also kind of tough to pronounce some things, because some of them you're just like, what? How do I what? That makes out that sound? But it's pretty good. Of course, traveling, going to Vienna and going to Berlin, going to Budapest, going to Croatia. I went to places in Croatia. I'm just going to Croatia. Going to Krakow. It's very hard to be like, it's like a language overload all the time, because you're like, I don't know any of these languages. And so you're getting bombarded with languages you don't understand, and you're just like, But if you do know a little bit of Czech, you will know how to pronounce a little bit of Croatian and a little bit of Polish. You might not know exactly. Some words kind of overlap in Central and Eastern Europe, especially when it all comes from around like Czech, Slovak, Croatian, Bosnian. They're all similar. There are some certain words that do cross over. A lot of sounds are similar and pronunciations are pretty close, but then there's words that are like, what in the heck? I've never seen that before. But it's pretty easy if you just stay traveling around that area. Learning Czech, though, is definitely a little hard, because I'm so used to hearing Asian languages and Arabic. I don't know how to speak any of them, but I'm used to hearing them. But then having to hear Central and Eastern European, you're like, what? But eventually, being there for 4 months, you kind of get used to the sounds, and you get used to it, and you're just like, oh, okay, it's more calming, not so freaking me out right now. So you do get used to it. Speaking it, though, is always a little scary, because you're like, what if I pronounce it wrong? What if I say something completely different from what I mean? But for the most part, you should be okay. Some important phrases are like saying Dobry den when you enter a place. That's like good afternoon, good evening. That's a welcoming kind of thing that you say. You will learn ahoy, but that you can only say to people that are close to you. Do not say that to a stranger. Say that to friends and family. That's like it. If you say it to a stranger, they will probably give you a dirty look. Just saying. Prosím is like, excuse me, pardon me, prosím, and like, please, and that's how, say prosím, please, excuse me, pardon me, you know, all that stuff. I love prosím. Or like an okay, or, you know. I always have a hard time saying thank you in Czech. It's děkuji. I always have a hard time saying it, but, you know, you say it and you get close enough, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, you're welcome. Prosím, you're welcome. Prosím is really a catch-all term, I will be completely honest with you. Some other terms, what else did I? What's a pretty, Oh, okay. Yes and no. Ano is yes, the same with no is yes, and then no is ne. Yeah, ne, ne. I think it's ne. I believe it's ne. Ne. I believe. I will. If it's not, I will write it somewhere. But that's that. Some other stuff that's pretty good to know. If you need to know what beer is, it's pivo. Wine is vino. Water is voda. No water, it's voda. And if they ask you if you don't like bubbly mineral water, please ask for still voda. I don't know how to say still in Czech, but you can just say still and they'll get it. They'll get you. Those are some pretty important ones. If I think of any other important ones, I might put them here or at the end of this video. Just some important Czech ones that you may or may not learn depending on your program. My program, CEA, obviously, we did a brief hour of intro Czech, hitting those important phrases hard. And you also you learn a little bit of words, and then there are some numbers. You learn some numbers, and then there are also some other important words, like hospital and stuff. I can't remember those off the top of my head, so I'll probably put those if I find my little Czech words cheat sheet that I have still. And then there's some other really important words, and also food words are obviously important. So, like, cukr is sugar. It's like C-U-K-R. Butter is maslo. Milk is mleko. I miss mleko. Just like some important words to know. I kind of talked a lot about that. Next is, I'm gonna say shopping around Prague right now instead of, I'm gonna change my things up in here. Shopping around Prague is pretty easy, but at the same time it's kind of hard when you first get there because no one tells you really. There are 3 or 4 main places for groceries. There's Tesco, Albert, Billa, and I think those are the big ones. And then there's like a penny market kind of type deal where stuff is like really discounted, but it's like closer to an expiration date. Those are but those first 3 are the big 3. I did most of my grocery shopping in Tesco because it was close and it was also generally the cheaper price. A Billa was not close to me, and I wasn't going to bring groceries halfway across Prague from my apartment to, and then there was an Albert nearby too, but that was generally more expensive and it wasn't as big, so we mainly went to Tesco because Tesco is like a catch-all. It's like Walmart. It's basically a Walmart, but it's a UK-based company, and it's in the mall. That's another weird thing you have to get used to. A lot of people do grocery shopping in malls because that's where the Alberts, the Villas, and the Tesco's are in. They're in malls. They're typically not standalone stores. Sometimes they're even on like a metro or near the metro. And it's kind of weird because you're like, I have to go to the mall to get groceries. Like, it's very weird, but you get used to it, and it's kind of easy because it's like, okay, I'll buy my clothes if I want to, and then I'll buy my groceries at the same time. But Tesco really is basically Walmart. You have food, clothes, hygiene stuff, baby stuff, bedding, all that sort of stuff is all there. It's all catch-all is in Tesco. And it's the easiest place to go, especially starting out in Prague. There's a lot of malls in Prague, lots of malls. I was next to a really big one, Nový Smíchov. That's a big one, and really close to that. That has one of the bigger Tesco's as well. There's a lot of malls. There's like a big one that is in a tourist area. It's Palladium. It's huge, and that one is on. I can't remember what stop it's on, but it's a big mall, and that one's definitely predominantly like a clothing, higher end store mall. There's a lot of clothes, lots of clothes there. They have big malls and a lot of them. Well, maybe not a lot, but it feels like there's a lot. All in that was weird. My power just went out. Sorry. It feels like there's a lot of malls, even if there's not. Mainly, probably because I live next to one. But it's also convenient when they turn your water off on you and you have to use the bathroom. You can just run to the mall because the mall has free bathrooms. That was a good thing. Malls with free bathrooms. And then there's also some like street vendy things, like there's like an alleyway of like people selling stuff. I didn't buy anything from those places. And there's also, during holidays, there's markets, and there's also farmers markets that you can shop at. Those are fun, just to like peruse what people make and everything. It's very cool. But those we didn't really purchase too much. I was there during Easter, so I did buy something from the Easter markets. I bought these like eggshell things, ornaments kind of a deal, and they're painted. They're really, really cool. But we didn't really do the whole market, outdoor market that much, but it's there. There is one in Andel where I lived. So, by the way, Andel means angel. There was that farmer's market. There was one that's on Green Line somewhere. I can't remember what it's. I think it's Nemesi Miru, I believe. And then there was a couple other ones. And then I know there's Christmas markets and there's Easter markets, and I don't know what other markets. I mean, of course, farmers markets when it's that spring, summertime. We just got to the beginning of the farmers market, so there wasn't that much variety, but I'm sure during the summer there's a lot more variety in produce at the farmers markets. But that just wasn't when we were there. So there's that. I'll talk about currency and then fitting into Europe and its lifestyle. Currency conversions, biggest thing is make sure you know what the currency is in the country that you're going to, whether it's the country you're studying in or a country you're visiting while you're studying there. And make sure you know the conversion rate. Make sure you know the conversion rate. So if you do choose to maybe exchange money or withdraw it, you know how much you're getting and you're taking out from your own native money. I have the USD. I knew that the Czech koruna was roughly 22 to 24 per dollar. When we went to Hungary, it was 200 something for every dollar. When I went to like Berlin and Austria, for every euro, it was like at the tail end, once it was getting closer to like leaving, it was like 130 per dollar, 150 per dollar. What else? Polish, it was like 7 per dollar. I'm actually not positive on that. I feel like it might have been 7 per dollar. It was just, Croatian money. Oh man, how much was, I can't think of how much it was off the top of my head at the time. But you need to know how much the foreign money is compared to your own native money. Be aware, because otherwise you're going to be withdrawing either too much or too little, and then you're going to be screwed. Or you're going to be exchanging, and you're going to find out, wait a minute, I just got screwed. You have to be aware. You need to be up to date. The morning before you leave, like right before you leave the house, make sure you check your currency conversion. Be like, okay, for every dollar, it's this much Hungarian money. This many forints, I should say. Or it's this many whatevers. You need to be aware. Otherwise, you're going to withdraw too much money and you're not going to use it all, especially when there are countries that are not on the euro. For euro countries, it doesn't really matter because you can use them throughout multiple countries. But if it's something specific like Hungary, if you're in Croatia, if you're in Poland, those things you need to know, because there's a good chance you're probably not going to go back to that country right away. So you're going to have like $20 worth of forint, and you're like, what do I do with it? When am I going to go back to Hungary? So just make sure of that. Please, that is the biggest thing with money. Also, I'm going to kind of briefly talk about like ATM versus exchanging your money at some place. If you're planning on exchanging money, please make sure you go to somewhere that is trusted. Please. Do not go to just some street dude and be like, here, exchange my money. Because you might get screwed out of it. Just be careful. If you're not going through like an airport, I personally wouldn't go and exchange money. I would just go to an ATM and withdraw it. But also only withdraw from an ATM if you know how much they're going to charge you for that withdrawal and the conversion fee. For me, I have a credit union. I did not get charged at all, thank God, for withdrawing money and the conversion fee from withdrawing that money, which was awesome. And my credit union did exact conversions of whatever the dollar to whatever else money it was for that day, which was freaking amazing. Say the krona was 23 for every dollar, I would get 23 for every dollar if I withdrew it on that day. Or if it was 22, I would get that exact conversion. If you can, have a credit union and know their international policy, especially if you're planning on traveling besides just studying abroad. Know your conversion fees, know your withdrawal fees, know that stuff, please, for your banks and whatever. And if you can, get a credit union. Credit unions are freaking godsends in that respect for withdrawing money out of an ATM. Also, choose an ATM that's not in a super shifty place. A lot of people, myself included, would say try to go to one that is connected to a bank. Probably safer. And don't go to one that's in, like, dead center of a tourist area. Probably not a good idea. Just saying. Go to somewhere that's safe and trusted. Also, I think some banks will exchange money for you. I'm not positive on that because when I was abroad, I just withdrew money from an ATM because I didn't have any fees tacked on to me withdrawing money. So there's that. Just, if you can, credit union or go to a bank that will not charge you a conversion fee and a withdrawal fee. Just saying. Just do that for me. Do that for me. Save yourself. Even though it might be a hassle to change over to a different bank or credit union, it could save you in the long run, I promise. And the last topic is fitting into Europe and like the European lifestyle. It's pretty easy, but I am pretty good at going back into a foreign lifestyle because of my mom is an immigrant. So I've been traveling a lot, so I was able to easily get into only an 8-hour difference of time instead of a 12-hour if I was going to my mom's hometown. And the flight was a lot shorter too. And I personally thought it was pretty easy. The hardest parts was how they kind of separate trash and stuff and kind of getting used to only using public transportation and walking. Because I don't live in a city. I live out here. I have to drive places. Otherwise, I'm not getting anywhere anytime soon. It was kind of a lot to get used to. And the hardest part was languages and not knowing the language and being in a new city. But overall, getting used to Europe and European life was pretty easy. Also, not having a clothes dryer was kind of tough. But you got used to that too, just putting it on a drying rack. It was not difficult. I thought it was pretty easy. Some other people, maybe not so much. But overall, I thought it was pretty easy to fit into that European lifestyle. You just have to, there are a lot of rules, and you're kind of like, really? Really? Like, one, paying for freaking bathrooms. I'm like, what? I'm giving you something. I shouldn't have to pay for that. And at least in Prague, Prague, beer is cheaper than water for the most part, which is ridiculous for me because I'm like, really? Beer is more labor intensive than getting water. Prague, your faucet water is fine to drink. Why do you charge me $1.50 as opposed to the $1 for the beer? Come on now. But sometimes if you just ask for like still or tap water, sometimes they won't charge you, but a lot of times they do. Because a lot of times they'll just give you bottled water and you're just like, can I get faucet water? There are some places that will not charge for faucet water or tap water. You'll be good. So paying for bathrooms, water more expensive than beer, having to use a drying rack for my clothes, and there's one more thing. I forgot. But those are some of the big things that was a little difficult to get used to. Oh, and having to really separate your trash a lot of times. In the place I stayed at, since they composted, you had to make sure that you separated what could be composted and what couldn't. And then recycling, which I personally like. They had a lot of recycling places for glass, paper, plastic, and like a separate thing for cartons, because cartons are like paper and plastic together a lot of times. So that wasn't too hard to get used to, but it did take a little bit of time to remember those things. Like, oh crap, don't throw my eggshells in there, compost it. And to know where your apartment building composts and all of that stuff. But yeah, overall, European life was very easy to get acclimated into. Is that the right word? And adapt to. It was pretty easy. And I guess time zone differences. If you've never been out of the country, it does take a little bit of time to get used to. If you've never been out to your country, it's a drastic time zone change. It does take a little bit to get used to, but overall, you should be pretty easy, especially for figuring out how much something costs. Like, that's also very easy to get used to. At first, you're like, okay, 50 kronas, how many dollars? And then you kind of just get used to it. You're like, okay, I can afford this. I can afford this. I can't afford that. I can afford this. It is pretty easy, I think, fitting into that Euro style. By the end of your trip, you will totally be Euro trash official, I promise you, or an honorary person of your city or country that you are studying in. I am an honorary Czech, I would like to say, and I am Euro trash official. That is all I have for you today. If you found this video helpful whatsoever, please thumbs this up and share it with other people that might find this helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of me, and follow my social media because you want to keep up with me, right? You want to know what I do off of the YouTube. I don't know. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. And, oh, if you have any suggestions for if you have any questions or anything, or you feel I forgot anything, please tell me in the comments below. If you want to see me make another video about that, I will totally do that. I will try to answer any of your questions. Either I'll answer them in the comments, or if I get a lot of questions, I can just do a video about all the specific questions any of you guys have. And now that's it. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ciao! That's goodbye, also, but you only say that if you're close to the person. Ahoy and ciao, those are if you know people. Anyways, bye!